We start in the United States, a nation whose military doctrine relies on absolute, unquestioned global air dominance. To achieve this, American engineers built the undisputed king of kinetic air-to-air combat, the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. The Raptor is built on the philosophy of first look, first shot, first kill. Its radar cross-section is the exact size of a marble. This is achieved through highly classified radar-absorbent coatings in internal weapon bays. By the time an enemy radar system detects the F-22, the American pilot has already fired an AIM-120D AMRAAM missile and left the area. But what makes the Raptor the most powerful American fighter isn't just its stealth, it is its sheer thermodynamics and physics. Powered by twin Pratt & Whitney F-119 engines, it features 2D thrust vectoring nozzles that allow it to perform impossible maneuvers while simultaneously masking its infrared heat signature from enemy missiles. It also possesses the incredibly rare ability to supercruise, flying at Mach 1.5 without dumping raw fuel into the gas-guzzling afterburners. It flies higher and faster than the F-35, acting as an invisible sniper that completely sanitizes the airspace before the rest of the fleet even arrives. Across the world, Russian aerospace engineering operates under a completely different doctrine. They assume stealth isn't perfect and that eventually long-range missiles will miss and jets will be forced to merge into a close-quarters dogfight. Their ultimate weapon is the Sukhoi Su-57, given the NATO reporting name Felon. The Felon is Russia's first fifth-generation stealth fighter, but it refuses to give up the brute force brawling capabilities of its ancestors. It features the incredibly advanced N036 Bielka radar system. Unlike Western jets that only have a radar in the nose, the Su-57 has radar arrays embedded into its cheeks in leading wing edges, giving the pilot an unprecedented field of view. But its true power lies in the engines. The 3D thrust-vectoring Saturn AL-41F1 engines allow the exhaust nozzles to move independently in any direction. This gives the Felon terrifying supermaneuverability. It can literally stall in midair, rotate 180 degrees, and point its nose and its missiles at an enemy pursuing it from behind. To survive modern warfare, the Su-57 is also equipped with a Directional Infrared Countermeasure System, or DRCM. These are laser turrets mounted directly on the fuselage that fire blinding beams of light into the seekers of incoming heat-seeking missiles. It is a fighter built for absolute aggressive survival. Next, we look at the People's Republic of China. Their ultimate fighter is the massive Chengdu J-20 Mighty Dragon. China's geographic reality is the vast, unforgiving expanse of the Pacific Ocean. They don't necessarily need a nimble, lightweight dogfighter. They need a massive, long-range stealth interceptor that can project power deep past the first island chain. The J-20 is significantly longer and heavier than the American F-22. Because of its massive size, it carries a staggering amount of internal fuel and highly classified PL-15 Beyond Visual Range missiles, which are believed to have a range exceeding 300 kilometers. Western analysts believe the J-20's primary doctrine isn't to dogfight agile American fighters. Its job is to use its forward stealth to slip completely undetected past enemy fighter screens and assassinate high-value support aircraft like AWACS radar planes and aerial refueling tankers. If you destroy the tankers, the enemy fighters run out of gas and fall into the Pacific. The J-20 is a highly calculated strategic sniper built specifically to sever the enemy's logistical spine.
Moving to Europe, France has always fiercely maintained its absolute aerospace independence. They refuse to rely on foreign technology, which birthed their ultimate national masterpiece, the Dassault Rafale. The French don't call the Rafale a multi-role fighter, they call it an omni-role fighter. It is designed to literally do everything in a single mission: air supremacy, deep strike bombing, and reconnaissance. But the Rafale's true superpower is the Spectra electronic warfare suite. It doesn't rely on stealth shaping to hide from radar. Instead, the Spectra system actively jams, spoofs, and cancels out enemy radar waves in real time, creating a digital cloak of invisibility around the aircraft. Because France maintains an independent nuclear deterrent, the Rafale is also one of the only carrier-capable fighter jets in the world explicitly wired and authorized to carry the ASMPA supersonic nuclear cruise missile. It is a terrifyingly capable, completely self-sufficient flying fortress that has proven its lethality in combat zones from Libya to the Middle East. Sweden's geographic reality is arguably the most intense on this list. Sharing a volatile airspace border with Russia, Sweden's military doctrine operates on a dark assumption. In the event of a war, all of their military airbases will be destroyed by cruise missiles within the first 10 minutes. To survive, they built the Saab Jazz 39 Gripen E. The Gripen is engineered to operate from standard civilian highways deep in the frozen forests. It is built to be serviced in the freezing snow in under 10 minutes by a single certified mechanic and a handful of minimally trained conscripts. But do not let its small size fool you. The Gripen E is a dedicated giant killer. It features the Tactical Information Data Link system. This allows one Gripen to turn its radar on and illuminate an enemy while silently transmitting that targeting data to 3 other Gripens flying with their radars completely off. The enemy only sees one jet on their screen, right before they are ambushed by 4 Meteor ramjet missiles from the shadows. Japan is an island nation surrounded by massive oceans and heavily armed neighbors. Their greatest threat doesn't just come from the sky, it comes from enemy warships. To counter this, they created the Mitsubishi F-2, famously known as the Viper Zero. At first glance, it looks just like an American F-16, but it is actually a heavily modified, supersized variant built specifically for Japan's needs. The wings are 25% larger and made of highly advanced carbon fiber composites, allowing it to carry massive amounts of fuel and up to 4 heavy anti-ship missiles simultaneously. But Japan's greatest contribution to aerospace was inside the nose. In 1995, the Mitsubishi F-2 became the very first operational fighter jet in the world to feature an AESA radar. Active electronically scanned arrays use hundreds of tiny individual transmitter modules, making the radar incredibly powerful and almost impossible for enemies to jam. Japan mastered this technology over a decade before it became standard in Western fighters. Directly across the sea, South Korea lives under the constant threat of immediate conflict. They needed a massive fleet of highly advanced jets, but buying hundreds of American F-35s was simply too expensive, so they built their own, the KAI KF-21 Boramae. The Boramae is a fascinating masterpiece of pragmatic engineering. From the outside, its angular stealth shaping makes it look like a 5th-generation stealth fighter, but South Korea made a highly calculated compromise. To keep development costs down and speed up production, the KF-21 doesn't have internal weapon bays. It carries its missiles externally. This makes it a 4.5-generation fighter. It is vastly superior to older legacy jets, boasting advanced AESA radar and twin General Electric F414 engines, but it sacrifices a bit of stealth to be heavily armed and incredibly cost-effective. South Korea's plan is brilliant. Mass-produce the jet now to defend their borders and eventually upgrade future blocks with internal bays to achieve true 5th-generation stealth. Finally, we look at India. Because of its unique geopolitical position, India doesn't exclusively buy from the East or the West. They buy from everyone. This doctrine birthed one of the most uniquely terrifying aircraft on the planet, the Sukhoi Su-30 MKI. The MKI is a massive, heavy air superiority fighter based on a Russian airframe.
It features Russian thrust vectoring engines in forward canards for extreme dogfighting agility. But inside the cockpit, it is a completely different beast. India heavily customized it by installing cutting-edge French navigation systems, Israeli electronic warfare pods, in highly classified Indian-designed mission computers. It is an absolute Frankenstein's monster of the world's best aviation technology. But its most lethal asset is the payload. The BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, weighing over 2.5 tons and traveling at Mach 3, is nearly impossible to intercept. An Indian Su-30 MKI can launch this devastating weapon from hundreds of miles away, making it an unprecedented threat to enemy warships and ground targets across the Indian Ocean. From the invisible, high-altitude snipers of the United States and China to the rugged highway brawlers of Sweden, the electronic warfare masters of France, and the hybrid heavyweights of India, the title of most powerful fighter jet completely depends on the war you are preparing to fight. Which country's fighter jet do you think is the absolute most powerful on the planet? Are you taking the stealth of the F-22, the super maneuverability of the Su-57, or the pragmatic giant-killing power of the Gripen? Let me know down in the comments. If you want to dive deeper into how these machines evolved, check out our massive documentary on every American fighter jet ever right here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching Flight King.